So this car has a steering wheel on the right-hand side of the car, and that is obviously strange because we're driving right-hand side of the road, so the steering wheel should be on the left. So this is actually an illegally imported car from Japan. What is going on, guys? Zigzag here. Welcome back to another Geoguessr video, and this one is the third installment of the teaching series where I show you guys in-depth round breakdowns and challenge you guys in the description. So yeah, find the challenge links for the description inside today's videos. You play the rounds before I play them, and then hopefully I will be able to, if you're a weaker player than I am, I'll be able to show you where you went wrong and that kind of thing. Also, in today's episode, we're going to be playing without the car. So yeah, without the Google car, and that will actually make things a little bit more difficult, but it's also a better way to learn because then you don't get reliant on the the Google car meta. So this is challenge link 1. Go ahead and hit that one, and let's see how we go in the first round here. Okay, so this one is going to be in Generation 2 camera. It's a little bit of an older camera work here, and it feels very tropical. Look at these banana plants over here. So let's take a look at everything we can see. We have some trucks over here. Is this the same truck 3 times in a row, or is this a camera glitch? I think literally it's just 3 of the same truck parked in a row, but yeah, definitely an interesting one. So for me, there's only really 2 options here. It's either got to be South Africa or Mexico because of the Generation 2, and the fact that it's quite tropical. So either we're all the way up here, or I think what's more likely is that we're going to be somewhere in Mexico. But the houses here don't strike me as particularly Mexican, to be honest. So maybe it will have to be South Africa. Yeah, I think it actually is going to be South Africa here. Now that I'm looking at it, it kind of almost looks a bit Australian, which is not really something. You don't really see too many Mexican rounds that look Australian. Still a weird round, to be sure. But yeah, I think we should go somewhere over here and pretty far north, but also quite green. So maybe Richards Bay. I wouldn't mind that. Let's see. And yeah, this was 115 kilometers away, so a really good start. I was actually kind of unsure with that guess. I was gonna be like, this is really bad, I won't restart the video, but no, there we go. It's a good start, and yeah, near Durban there. Okay, so this one is Curious, and that was a very difficult round, so no worries if you didn't get it. It was kind of a vibe one. The architecture was the biggest clue because a lot of the times in Mexico you'd have the painted front of the houses, you know, the South American style architecture. Anyway, so here we are in what appears to be a European scene. So first off, noticing this white colored dirt. It's very flat. It's very flat all around. We have some A-frame poles over here, which is probably going to be a clue. And the biggest clue of them all is this bollard, which has a number on it, and it's painted pure, or it's not painted, but it's got a pure red section over here. And it's white otherwise. So even before turning around here, we know that this one's going to be a Polish bollard. This is also a Polish sign. Not only does it kind of look like Polish language, I mean, if you know, you know, but it's also green, and those kind of green signs, kind of like Poland and Hungary, quite common in those 2 countries. But this particular font as well is the Polish one. So I know beyond reasonable doubt with those 3 clues that this one's going to be Poland. And honestly, the flat landscape and everything fits that quite nicely as well. So I think we're going to be somewhere, you know, fairly central here actually. So I'm just going to go here a bit north of Warsaw. And yeah, this is right on the border with the Ukraine actually. But 4,400 is a good score. So on to the next one. This one is looking Asian off the bat. We can see that this kind of spire here and these kind of like pointed roofs are quite Asian looking to me. What's interesting is we have like these crisscross bricks, which is going to be interesting. This one's an Asian van as well. If you know your car makes, you know that the Asian ones are obviously quite common in Asia. Whereas like in South America or something, you'd be getting more European cars as well as Asian ones. And look at these roofs here, so definitely super Asian. So now it's time to look at the power poles to see if they're going to give any clues, because one thought I did have was that this might be Thailand. Thailand tends to use square poles though, so even though I thought these might look Thai, they are not, I don't think, because we don't see any of the square poles and they're much more common over there. So now, my thoughts are turning to Indonesia. It's quite dry. Obviously, Thailand has a large section of dry area out here, where I've just drawn this this triangle. Also, these islands out here get quite dry, from kind of the eastern point in Java all the way over to Timor-Leste. It's very dry in Indonesia. So also this number plate appears to be black as well, so I'm feeling fairly confident with that. For that reason, I think it could be Bali. I might go in this city over here, or the next city over. But I do think we're going to be somewhere in this section here, so let's see if I'm right about that. And yeah, this actually was in the eastern part of Java, like I said it might be. Yeah, I may easily have gone over there, but we still pull 4,000, which is pretty good for Indonesia, I would say. Next round. Okay, so here we go, and we immediately are greeted with some very European-looking architecture. Don't really think we'd see houses like this anywhere else in the world. So let's take a look around. We have a yellow sign here, which is very indicative of former Balkan countries. These yellow signs, I think Slovenia, Croatia, I think Serbia has them too, maybe North Macedonia too. I think maybe those four have them, so that's what I'm thinking off the bat. There's probably others that do as well, I just can't remember. This car is lacking a blue strip, which is curious. That could be a hint for later on as well. Do we have, just looking around at what the architecture is like here. So we also have a, like, kind of a peak over the sea and a dash over this sea. And the IC suffix I do definitely associate with Croatia. I have a bunch of Croatian viewers, so no doubt they'll be in the comment section, but yeah, I think the IC ending, especially on like a last name or something, is very Croatian, at least to me. Also, we don't have any holy poles, so that kind of excludes Hungary as well, but this language wasn't Hungarian, so it wasn't really an option to begin with. And also, the lack of a blue strip I know is something that is a bit more common in Croatia, so yeah, the architecture fits for me as well. I wouldn't be surprised if we were somewhere around Zagreb here. It almost looks a bit Serbian as well, but we don't have the Google car, but we'd probably also have some Cyrillic in Serbia, so that's probably why I won't go there. Also, actually, I'm actually quite confident that this is Croatia, because a lot of the time they have the blue fire extinguishers, so, or fire hydrants, so there you go. I think that is going to be the clue that tips me over here. And yeah, it kind of has a bit of a Hungary vibe, so I'm thinking of going actually even closer to Hungary here. Maybe in this town here. Let's see. And yeah, that's a super good guess. 27 kilometers away. Very, very pleased with that. 4,927. You already know this is going very nice. Sometimes you gotta sit and wait a while before you make your guess, and you end up making a better one because of it. So this one is good. Let's take a look at these double whites in the center. The fact that they are double white lines is very useful, because obviously this is a very dry country, and there are parts of South America, for example, that would look similar to this, but we can pretty much count out Argentina and well, Chile is also using white lines, but this is not a particularly Chilean looking outback, and maybe by the fact that I've said outback here, you can guess that I do think this is Australia. We've got some Australian bollards here, with a red reflector and a silver reflector on the right-hand side of the road. We have these double white lines. This is a thing that indicates how likely a fire is, so that's curious. But this, I assume, is actually the name of the town. I actually don't know where it is, but it is the cradle of bulk handling. Maybe this town is that. I think this is in Western Australia, and the big reason for that is that we have this very kind of reddy, orangey browny dirt. Like I would describe it as more brown but a bit orange, and that is super typical of Western Australia. Also, we know it's not South Australia because we don't have Stobie poles that are concrete here. This is a wooden pole. What else is there to say? These bollards you can't really see it too well, but these bollards in the distance have a black base, and that's also more common in Western Australia. So yeah, feeling fairly confident. So we could, and I imagine some of you who are playing the challenge will actually go and find this, but I think we're going to be somewhere around here. So I will give a quick scan, just in case. But I don't think I want to waste you guys' time too much here. But I can see some similar looking names out this direction, so I wouldn't be surprised if we were somewhere out here. So I think that is probably what we'll go for. And this landscape is quite green, so maybe even closer to Perth. Let's just go here and see how close we are. And yeah, there we are. So that was actually a really nice guess again, and we have ended up with 22,700. And if I had have listened to myself a little bit more with that Indonesia, it could have been even higher. So that was a really nice first seed, and I hope you learnt a little bit there. But the dirt color was the main decider there for Western Australia, so that is really good to keep in mind, and it can save you from some bad guesses on the other side of Australia. I say let's get into the second link here. Also, if you want this script, I'll probably remember to put that in the description. If I don't, just comment. But here is number 2. And yeah, let's head straight into the game here. Okay, so this one is looking rather Japanese. Well, let's explain that because it's not entirely obvious off the bat here. So this square car is probably the main one that's making me think Japan off the bat. They just love square cars in Japan, and so if you hadn't picked that up yet, it's very common over there. Also, it's like a short and thick plate. That's also quite Japanese. This is like I guess it's a Japanese stop sign. I've actually never considered, but I think because it's red, it must be a stop sign. Obviously quite different to a normal one in Europe or elsewhere. This car is also driving on the left-hand side of the road, which Japan drives on. And here again, we have a square car, and not to mention this one is square as well. So it's funny, Japan like sends out all these different looking cars all around the world, but back home, they love the square ones. And yeah, we've got some yellow front plates here. That is also consistent with Japan. And so what else do we need to say here? It's fairly flat. It is fairly flat. And I'm not actually sure if I think this is going to be north or south. I do see a pine here. Often the pines might be an indication of more northern, but yeah, I don't think that's any guarantee at this stage. I think I'll just have to pick somewhere flat a little bit north. So I'm thinking maybe somewhere over here. I'm really not sure. Let's go in this small town here, but yeah, not really too confident here. We'll just have to see how close we are. And yeah, that's not a bad guess. 170 kilometers away. We were over on this side. Yeah, not bad. Well, not much to say about Japan. It's a tough country to guess inside of. Here is a good little round. We are using all white road lines here, so that is good. Obviously, this one already felt quite European, but if you were confused about it being Canada or the US, well, we can already rule those out because of the white road lines. We've got a bunch of thin birch trees here, which is good to know. We have a snow pole here as well. Now, I remember getting a bit screwed up by my snow poles last time, but I think this might be a finished snow pole. And it goes orange all the way up, and then a little white band, and then orange again. So I think that's also the case. Also, this is a Generation 3 camera. So it's not Generation 4, and obviously or maybe not obviously if you're new, but a lot of Norwegian rounds use Generation 4, so yeah. There's also a yellow sign here, which is curious. I hope this isn't Sweden or anything, but with this bollard, I think this bollard might be the Finnish one, so yeah. I'm not all that confident, but it should be fairly far north here. I would not be surprised if we're about halfway up Finland here, and obviously we see some lakes as well, so yeah, I think that is pretty consistent with that area of the country. And yeah, it's a little further south, but 4,500 again. Very good effort, I would say. Next one. Okay, this one is a nice little one here. Plenty of clues to get it, but if you don't know them, obviously it's going to be a difficult one. So let's take a look around. I just figured out you can do this on the keyboard. Check it out. Oh, you can't do it? Yeah, there we go. Look. You can use A and D to look around. Anyhow, so we have plenty of clues here. Let's observe it. So we have an arrow here saying that we're driving left-hand side of the road. So already we are Xing out a lot of Europe. All continental Europe is out of the picture here, apart from Malta, the UK, and Ireland. Okay, so we also have this yellow line in the center though, which is quite uncommon for left-hand drive countries, I have to say. Most left-hand drive countries using all white road lines. This one, apparently not. Okay, we also have an English sign here, so that's a very good clue as well. We have white poles and a bollard with a red reflector, even on the right-hand side of the road using a red reflector. So that is what we're working with here. Yeah, here are some of the more of the bollards. They're like split down the middle. And so, what are we thinking, guys? Well, this one is going to be New Zealand. So we can already tell that by the bollards. They're similar to the Polish ones that we had earlier, except thinner. What's more, we have these white poles. That is very common in New Zealand as opposed to Australia. They almost never paint the poles white in Australia, so that's a really good clue. It's hilly, so obviously that is definitely consistent with New Zealand. And yeah, sometimes in New Zealand they do this yellow line with the whites dotted next to it, and you'll also see that in Argentina, in Uruguay, and in Philippines sometimes, and maybe some others as well, but that's the main countries you'll see it in. And that's basically all she wrote. So I think somewhere in North Island here, although this could be easily be the north of the South Island as well. And yeah, I don't know where that is, so let's just go here. And yeah, this is another good guess. It's on the North Island, and we have been pretty consistent here, just getting about 150 kilometers away each time. And just as I was talking about Malta, this one is looking like it's going to be Malta, and the biggest clue for Malta is these rock walls. They have rock walls everywhere, and obviously there are other countries like that where they have rock walls as well, like Ireland and sometimes France as well, but this one's more dry. You can see we even have some cacti over here, which you definitely see in Malta as well. So this one looking like a pretty surefire Malta before we even look around. It's kind of got like an Australian style climate where it's very dry, but also you do get some green grass as well. And yeah, I would be very surprised if this isn't Malta, although perhaps sometimes you will get a similar type of round in Sardinia or in Sicily as well. But yeah, feeling pretty confident this is just going to be somewhere in rural Malta. Not that there's much of it, but yeah, I don't know. And also, I'm not actually sure if this was going to be the North or the South Island, but I'm just going to go south because there's more rural land there. And yeah, we are super close, 4.2 kilometers away, very nice. And yeah, we are on track for another good score here if we get this one right. So here is this round. This one has a number of good clues that we can get it from. First off, let's look at the pole. It is actually all concrete, so that is going to be a good clue. It's not holy, and it doesn't have any ladder element to it. You can't climb up it, so that's good to know. We have white outside road lines here. Here are some more of those poles over there. It's quite a temperate looking climate, not particularly, not particularly tropical. It's also hilly over here. And the biggest clue is that we are here driving right, and we have these plates with blue on both sides. Now, see blue on both sides plates in France, in Italy, and Albania, but you will only see these short ones. These normal European plates are about that long, but these ones are a bit shorter. With the blue on both sides, it definitely means we're in Italy. So even Albania, which uses a very, very similar color scheme, they would have the longer plates on the front. So yep, it has to be Italy. Whereabouts is the question. This actually is looking to be a bit of a difficult round. If we check down onto this valley, not entirely obvious to me. I think I'm just going to have to guess halfway up the country here. Yeah, maybe a little bit further south here. Don't mind that right there. Bit further south of Rome. Could be up north. I'm not really sure here. Let's just rip it in and see if we're right. And yeah, this actually was a bit further north, unfortunately. First bad guess of the video, really, I would say. But there we go, 22,220. So hopefully I'm still beating Jazz. But if you're beating me, good job. Hopefully you're still learning a little something, maybe on the Australian rounds and whatnot. But yeah, let's go into the next one. I like to play about 5 here, so let's you'll be able to see in the description how many there are. But let's jump into the next one. Put this right here, and go in. I'm enjoying this. I hope you guys are too. These ones tend to be like nice slow burners. They get a lot of views as the time passes. So yeah, I hope maybe you're watching this a bit after it comes out, and I hope you are enjoying. So this one says motel. We appear to be in Russia. That is Cyrillic, of course. This is the L in Cyrillic. So yeah, Russia is feeling most likely to me right here. Because we don't have the Google card, I suppose this could be Ukraine. But one sad thing, or happy, depending on what you look at it as, is that Ukraine tends to have very poor road quality. Like, I mean, really poor. Like, I would say like 70% of the rounds you have in Ukraine, they have just cracked roads everywhere. This one is nice quality, so thinking more of Russia here. Taking a look at these poles, I have seen this black and white stripes sometimes around Belarus in Russia, so I'm wondering about that right now. We have these very long white plates with no strips, so yeah, that is definitely Russian looking. We can pretty much exclude every other country apart from Russia and Ukraine here, and definitely reminding me more of Russia out of the two. In fact, I think when you have this letter instead of an I, that is going to be in Russia, more likely. And yeah, the signs and everything like that definitely appear to be Russian to me. So yeah, could be Ukraine, seems unlikely to me. So that is pretty much all we have to go off here. We have like kind of this white dirt. It's very flat, so very, very generic Russia round, I would say here. And I just kind of want to test out this theory of going near Belarus, because I think I have seen that kind of thing before. As I said, these little markings here, but I could be wrong. Let's see about that theory. And yeah, this is actually near Moscow, so 4,000 points is actually a pretty good effort for Russia. But if you just went on Moscow, you would have had a really nice score. Unfortunate, but as for a Russia round, that is actually pretty good. And let's check out this round. It's looking quite similar. This time we have a really poor road quality, but it doesn't necessarily strike me as Ukraine either. So let's check out what we got going on. It's very it's very rural here, I would say. This sign at the very bottom has a bit of black, and that's something you definitely see a lot of the time in Russia. Let's check out this one. So this car has a steering wheel on the right hand side of the car, and that is obviously strange because we're driving right-hand side of the road, so the steering wheel should be on the left. So this is actually an illegally imported car from Japan, presumably from a left-hand side drive country, because to avoid fees or import fees or something like that. And so we have a cafe in Usko. So I have a feeling that we're going to be somewhere near Japan here, and a lot of the time that will be in Sakhalin. And so I want to see if there's any place called Usko, because it's possible. And then we could get a really crazy score here. The coverage covers about half the island, I think, and I just want to see if there is any Usko. Doesn't seem like there is, but it was worth a little check here. So it doesn't seem to be any Usko. So let's take a look around for any other clues. The disrepair of the road could certainly line up with Sakhalin here. As for the rest over here, I do actually just want to see if there's any Uskos, because you know that would actually make for a crazy guess, but I don't think we're going to be able to find it. And of course, you do actually get some of those illegally imported cars over this side as well on Kamchatsky Peninsula over here. But the soil tends to be a bit darker over there in my experience. So I am thinking just of Sakhalin here, and maybe about halfway up the island. There's the petrol station. It's very interesting, these blue buildings. So interesting. But yeah, that's going to be the main clue here, I think. So yeah, just going to go somewhere over here. I actually wouldn't mind finding a petrol station at least to go off of here. That one doesn't seem to be it. I just want any petrol station, you know? Because you don't want to waste the opportunity for a good guess here. So let's go right here. I don't think we're going to be right there, but it's possible. And okay, this one was I'm fairly confident that I was right about that car. Let's go back in and see here. This steering wheel. So indeed, it was on the right-hand side of the car. And so that one was making a long distance. And actually, this is 2013, but it says Corona on the front of the car there. So that's curious. But yeah, I feel a little bit gypped there. 1,000 points only. So quite likely that you may have been able to get a higher score than me there, but that's just how Geoguessr goes sometimes, huh? Okay, so here is the next round. This one is definitely looking interesting. One thing that I'm noticing off the bat is there are quite few trees here. I mean, there's a few here, but we can see this massive expanse out here that has hardly any trees on it. So I dare say that will be a clue. These arrows are pointing so that the car will drive up this way and they'll wait here. So that appears to be a right-hand drive. So that would definitely check out with what it looks like so far. These crossings are interesting. The fact that they're using the yellow and blue, kind of like Swedish colors, but I don't think Sweden you would get this mountainous. So at the moment, what are you guys thinking? I think because of this little accent over the U, and just because of the general lack of trees, that this is most likely to be somewhere in Iceland. So let's zoom in on some of these number plates and see if they have a blue strip, because in Iceland you're lacking the blue strip. So this one appears to be missing it. This one, the sun has kind of washed it out, so we couldn't really draw any good clues from it. This one's a bit too far away as well. Also, the single-story houses, for whatever reason, I do think they are more common in Iceland. Also, we have an A and an E stuck together here, so we know it's not Sweden, because they would use the umlaut instead. And there's a church over there as well. It's interesting. Not really a massive clue, but it's just nice placement. And look at those mountains, so beautiful. So this will be another time to use the compass. We can see that we've got a big bay to our south. And so I'm definitely thinking of this kind of area here, although we have to be close to the mountains. So what about this? I think this might actually have a good shot of working. So to our north, we can see big mountains. So maybe even somewhere over here. I actually think this is not quite working out as a proper location. Unless we were like here. Not entirely convinced. Not entirely convinced that we're right there. So maybe somewhere over here instead. I don't know. You can really take a long time. Iceland's a great country because you can really get those 5Ks using the geography. But yeah, essentially we've got like a fjord going along here and it kind of runs along a decent way. So I don't know. This is so doable, but I also can't really be bothered. So we're just going to go somewhere in here, I think. This one doesn't really work. We're just looking for something with the mountains to the north. Oh, this one could work. I don't mind this. No, it really doesn't, unfortunately. We have to have like a fjord to our south, so I don't know. I just want something that vaguely works. Let's go for this one here. This one at least somewhat has a chance of being correct, and let's see. Okay, so it was actually over the other side of the country, and unfortunately, if we could see a little bit further out here, we would have gotten a much better score, but that is 4,000 points, so I'm sure some of you actually guessed on the right side there. My brain wasn't quite working at full capacity, unfortunately. That's okay. So the next one, we appear to be in Generation 2 camera, so one of the older camera generations, and if you tuned in for the first 2 episodes of the series, you remember I said the older camera generations tend to be in more wealthy countries, the countries that got first priority when it came to Street View. Anyhow, we have a straight-edged O on the 30 zone here, so that is definitely going to be interesting, and definitely a clue. Pilnitz is one of the towns here with this yellow sign. The plates, do they have blue strips on them? This one does, certainly. This one appears to as well. So I have some thoughts here, I just want to see here. This says Kunst, so that would be German for art, potentially. We could be in a German-speaking country here. This one says Swiss collection, or something like that, so that is also curious. So we've got a number of clues here. We can probably just do this based on the language, I think. Photo studio. So I think it was Stadt, yeah, I'm actually not entirely sure. It says Stadtranfahrt or something. I don't know. It's going to be some tour bus, and they appear to be speaking German here. So these straight-sided O's, I think you often see them in Austria. I just can't remember at the moment whether we'd have this kind of sign in Austria or not. So let's get into the map here. Can we find Pilnitz, which is the name of this town, apparently. I would like to be able to find that before I guess here. So Pirna. It could also be in Switzerland, now that I think of it in the German-speaking side of it. So I'm just trying to think. This one is actually giving me a little bit of trouble, I have to say. The blue strips on the plates surely mean that we're in Austria, but yeah, I'm not sure. Why are we speaking German? Could it be in Belgium too? No, we'd see a bit of red on the number plates then. Obviously it is a bit hilly, so I think this is in Austria. I just don't think Austria has that much Gen 2. So yeah, I just don't know. Not Linz. Well, my patience is starting to run thin, so I think I will just go for a guess here. Somewhere over in Linz, and we'll find out if we are incorrect or not. And this one was in Germany, so I don't know why that gave me such a Austria vibe, but yeah, it was Generation 2. I don't think they have any in Austria, so that might have been a bit of a rookie mistake there. I don't know. Anyhow, this was, I guess it just, like, the language part of it sounded a bit Austrian. I don't know why. I just went for Austria. Not a good guess there. But yeah, I guess it was the hilliness as well that threw me off, and the long side of the O. But anyhow, we are on to the next round here, and this one is very dry. Super dry, and we have like some eucalyptus type trees here. So often when I'm seeing that with dry mountains, I'm thinking of Peru area. In fact, I do think like Peru is definitely the main contender here. Without seeing the Google car, if we could see the Google car here, if you were playing it, you would see either a black or a white car, I assume. Other possibilities, it's got to be something in the Andes, so I guess like Argentina and Bolivia are also possible here. It would be a very strange Chile if we were there, but I guess that is also possible. This kind of light water definitely reminds me of Peru as well. So if I was saying Peru, I would say somewhere around where I put my marker here. Obviously we are following a river along a mountain range, so something like this is well possible. The mountains are pretty tall, but maybe not as tall as what I've clicked near, so something more like this may be possible. Yeah, you do like to find one that is at least somewhat fitting, so that could certainly work. And yeah, very dry. So don't be confused. Peru does get certainly dry on this side of the Andes. So let's click and guess, and a little bit further south here, right. Basically right on the center of Peru, so 3,770, and this one was a bit of a disaster. We had the bad Russia, and we had, I mean, this one, I didn't lose many points, but this is one of the worst guesses on the teaching series so far, I think. In fact, probably the worst. Anyhow, it is what it is, and I say we get back into another year. So definitely going well. I might leave it at 4 today. I think we'll make this one the last one. I'm starting to get a little bit mentally fatigued, I think. I mean, that Austria guess, not so good. Okay, so this is the next one. We have white outside lines. We have a blue barn. A lot of things painted blue here. That certainly acts as a clue for me, I think. And actually you can see just on the edge of the no car script there here that we have a wide blur, and that is often indicative of Japan, and sometimes Taiwan, and always Switzerland. So always Japan and Switzerland have low cam, and we have another one of these squarish cars here, so I'm thinking Japan here. Also these, because they have like quite tight roads in Japan, they'll often have these kind of orange mirrors. You see a lot of them in Europe as well, but something that Japan and Taiwan particularly like to use, I think. This one is fairly like poor, I would say, fairly rural and poor for Japan, although there are still some nice houses around. So the question is, where to go? Where to go? I can see it actually being further south here. I'm not really sure why I think that. When it comes to Japan, you have to play quite a lot and get a bit of a hunch for it. But we don't see the same pines that we did last time when it was a bit further north. In fact, we even see a palm here. So yeah, that is why I think I really have to go somewhere on this island here. And whereabouts? I might go in Isa here. So let's see. Let's see if I'm right about that. This one was actually in Tokyo, so I feel a little unlucky because of that palm tree, but of course, this is still tropical enough to be growing that kind of plant, so it makes sense, and yeah, I'm starting to play as well as I was at the start of the video, I think. Anyhow, this one is a right-hand drive. We have yellow outside lines, so the road lines, as I like to say, are probably the most important thing to check straight off the bat when you get into a round, and the yellow outside lines are something you see in South Africa and the Middle East. And obviously this one, not really so South African looking, not to mention the fact that we'd be driving the left-hand side of the road, not right like this car is. And we also have yellow plates. And in the Middle East, with yellow plates, we have to be in Israel. Obviously, sometimes you'll have like Israeli cars driving in the West Bank. And it's kind of rare to get Gaza Strip rounds. I don't think they have official coverage there. So yeah, we should be in Israel here. And it's fairly dry. Look at all these terraced farms here. It's quite interesting looking. But yeah, wouldn't be surprised if we were somewhere around Nazareth or something like that. Although we could be further south as well. So let's guess around Nazareth and see. And yeah, this one was actually over in the West Bank, but a pretty close guess. So 52 kilometers. Obviously, a tiny country makes things nice and easy for us. So Strada di Valle Duca maybe. So this one is definitely appearing Italian with this DI off the bat. That's something that you definitely see in Italy, in the Italian language. We're driving right hand side of the road here, and you can see, as I was mentioning earlier, we got that short plate, so that one's going to be a big clue here. We've got all white road lines, and yeah, I think, so you can see on the back plates they're longer with the two blues, but can you see how that's a big plate? The long plates are much more typical of Europe, and North America actually uses short plates. But over here, this long plate with the two blues is definitely a different length to this short plate on the front. So yeah, this is definitely Italian. I think more northern here, but I'm not sure how north. Kind of reminds me a bit of Montenegro, so it could be here, but I'm thinking more around Bologna. Yeah, the climate kind of reminds me of Croatia a bit as well, actually. So I'm actually happy with that guess. Let's see how we go. And yeah, that is actually pretty good, near San Marino. So I was right, actually about exactly the same latitude as Croatia here. Glad I didn't go near Montenegro, and we end up, that's a very respectable score, I would say. So here is the penultimate round of the video. And we have a blue and yellow flag here, so perhaps letting us know that this might be Sweden. Taking a look around, we have a sign here that says Gatan. And yes, Gatan means road or something like that, street in Swedish, so we should be in Sweden here. Also, this like kind of red house is very Scandinavian, so if we didn't have the clues to get Sweden here, this kind of red, this is actually a brick house, but this like red painted house over here is very, very Scandinavian looking. This one feels fairly northern to me, although I have been known to be quite wrong about those kinds of things in the past. Or one other clue we've got over here is that these signs are filled in yellow, and yes, that is definitely a Swedish thing to do. Also Finnish, also Polish, North Macedonia, Greece. A bunch of countries fill in their speed and give way signs in yellow, but yeah, that's certainly something they do a lot in Sweden. Also, this car and this car, from what I can tell, these two cars, both hatchbacks are Volvos, and Volvos are also manufactured in Sweden as well. This is a Volvo here as well, so definitely they're driving a lot of their national car here. So yeah, this is beyond reasonable doubt in Sweden. And I don't know. I'm feeling more north than Stockholm, but we'll find out. This could even be even further north, to be honest. We'll see. And no, it's actually further south, so I'm glad I didn't go too far north. But we're in Tibro, a small town, a respectable town. I like the look of it. I'd like to go there. And so this is the final round of the video. Still reeling from that Austria guess. Can't believe I did that. But yeah, let's take a look around here. This one we have a lot of red roofs. We have some white. Actually, the walls are painted white, which is curious. It's kind of a little bit more tropical looking, even though this should be European architecture, so that's definitely something to take into consideration. We have an A-frame pole here, but I'm not sure if this is a country that would normally use them, to be honest. So my feelings at this stage is that this could be like either Albania or Greece. The fact that it's so green makes me think of Albania here, quite honestly. Albania is like quite a poor and mountainous country. And yeah, I can definitely see like this kind of big mountain over here being the kind of thing you'd see around, maybe even Tirana. So maybe we could be up here on this hill or in this hill over here looking down. I mean, the city would be to the north then, and we'd have a big mountain to the north. So yeah, that big mountain is direct north. We can probably readjust our guess because of that. Maybe in this part of town here then, we could be over here looking at this mountain over here. That's certainly possible. So I think that's probably what we'll go for here. Albania doesn't have a whole lot of coverage, but we're going to use the geography here to get this guess. Also, just the fact that it looks quite poor, like this house kind of looks unfinished or abandoned or something like that. And even though the architecture is really nice, yeah, that is my thought at this stage. It could still be like Portugal or something with how hilly it is and with the red roofs. Could be Spain, could be Greece. Off chance of Italy as well, but I'm happy most with Albania here. And this was Italy, so yeah, I was not expecting it to be Italy there, but yeah, this is actually the north, in probably a rich area as well, so actually quite surprised. But without the car meta, it can be difficult. So yeah, I'm actually not too displeased here. We rank up to 38, we also got 19,000 points. Yeah, I think I'll wrap it up there. I didn't get too much sleep last night, so that's why the guesses were a little off in this video, but I hope it still helped anyway. Thank you very much for watching to the end if you really did. I hope it really helped you. Yeah, some of the guesses were not ideal, but yeah, we're kind of learning together that those Italian ones were screwing me up a little. Yeah, thank you very much for watching to the end. I'll see you guys in another video soon. Catch you later.